All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk about skewed data. Basically, skewed is a term we use when something is not balanced, all right? So I just put this image up here. These things, you know what these things here are called, these wooden sticks? They're called skewers, right? That had nothing to do with this lesson, but I was hungry at the time, so I put this photo up here. It looked really tasty. Anyway, the lesson today is on skewed. And how, I'm going to show you how data can be skewed. It's kind of like you're in a class and everybody does very well on a test, and then you have one person that made like a 20. The data is not consistent, therefore it is considered skewed data. And I'm going to show you what we have to read in order to determine if numbers are skewed or not. So let's just kind of get into it. You got your TI-84 calculators, you're gonna need those to do this. So this really kind of tells the tale of what skewed data is. We just talked about our bell curve and how we like all of our numbers to kind of be in the middle. But sometimes what happens is our little bell curves get shifted left or right based on our data collection. So this is just a great image of what all takes place. We have a negative direction, which is what we call a negative or a left skew, which means the left side of our bell curve is lacking data because all of the other data occurred on this side. It's like if I had a bunch of people make 90s and 100s, and then I had that lonely person over here make like a 20, right? The bulk of my data is on the right side of this bell curve, so it's called left or negative skewed. On the flip side of that coin, let's say we took a test that everybody made in the 20s and 30s, and then you had a couple people floating around making like a 90. The bulk of the data would be to the left side of that bell curve, and the higher scores would be to the right. That's called a positive or a right skewed. Now, mathematically speaking, how do we determine if our data is left skewed, right skewed, or not skewed at all? At the end of the day, it really boils down to, show you, knowing this information right here. You've got to calculate the mean and the median of each data set. Now, I've shown you how to do that on your TI-84, and we're going to revisit that again today. But if your mean number, if your average is less than the number of the median, your data is considered left or negative skewed. In other words, your median is farther over to the right than the mean. And you can kind of see the lines, how they all kind of shape up. This is your mean line, your median. So your median has a greater number than the average. If the numbers match perfectly, if your median and your mean are the same number, which that happens sometimes, like if everybody all made 100 on a test, I wouldn't have a skew. My mean, my median, and my mode would all be the same number. So there would be no skew, it would be a normal bell curve. On the flip side of it is this piece. If the mean is greater in value than the median, then we have what's called a positive or a right skewed. In other words, we're lacking stuff over here. Skewed, remember, is bad. We're lacking value over here, and it's all been clumped over to the left side of the bell curve. So again, we have to collect our data, put it in our calculator. We have to come up with our mean and our median, and we simply have to compare. And you're going to tell me, yes, it's left skewed, or it's right skewed, or there's no skewed at all. And that's really the goal here. So let's get into it. Let's roll up. I like to do matchup time here. Let me scooch this up just a little bit right there. So the goal here is to match up our data, all right? One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative or left, and then the other one's just going to be no skew at all. But we need our calculator, and we have to test each data set. So let's just go ahead and start it off. Stat edit, and I'm going to put in my numbers, 3, 5, 8, 2, 14, 13, 11. Okay? They're in there. And we'll go to stat, calc, 1 vars. And I'm gonna collect my data for this particular problem. So for that first data set, okay, I have a mean of 8, and I can roll down, and my median is also 8, which indicates, what does that indicate? Positive, negative, or no skew. No skew. Okay? That's what it means. No skew. So that one's done. So now we've got to figure out the other two. So I'm going to clear out my list. So second plus 4, enter. And I'm going to put in the second one. Stat, edit. 23, 25, 21, 30, 24, 45, 67. Okay, done. Stat calc. And I'm going to go through. And again, I'm going to collect. This one has a mean of 33.57. We'll just, and it's going to have a median of 25. So this time, the mean, and now this is where you got to be careful with it. Mean, when we're comparing the two, must come before median. So if you think about it in the dictionary, and this is how I tell people in the past, if you're looking up the words mean and median in a dictionary, mean, M-E-A, comes before M-E-D. So we always want to put them like this. And our mean is greater than our median here. Greater than is pointing, if you look, it's pointing to the right. Right is a positive direction on the number line. So this has a positive skew to it. Therefore, this one would end up having a negative skew. In other words, the mean would be less. So I'm just going to type that in just to show it. So let me clear out my list. Second plus 4, enter. Okay, stat edit. 20, 50, 15, 45, 65, and 70. Okay? And by this time, you're getting used to the button pushing. So I'm gonna move a little quicker, shorten up the video. So this one had a mean of 44.16. Excuse me, 16. Sorry about that. The median is 47.5. Median was greater. Okay, so when we think about setting it up, mean versus the median, this time the median is bigger. The pointer is pointing to the left, and left on a number line is negative. That's why I drew a line from negative to there. Okay? So that's what you really got to do. You got to get your mean and median, and you just have to simply compare it. And understand, to the left is negative on a number line, to the right is positive on a number line, and the little inequality sign will point you in the right direction. It's really kind of easy. It's not a lot of tricks to it. More matchup time. I like this one. So this one, you've got to choose. Okay? Look at the data, look where it's sitting, and decide, is this data positive skewed, negative skewed, or no skew at all? So if you think about the bell curve, it's kind of doing this, isn't it? So go back to that image on the second slide, not the slide with the skewers, but the slide with the bell curve. Notice that all the information all of our data is on the left-hand side. So the right side is deficient. The right side is skewed, right? It's lacking information over here. It's all bulked up over there. So right skewed. Skewed, remember, is bad. It means it's lacking. So this graph had a right skew, okay? So just, just kind of don't overthink this stuff. Just kind of roll with it, use some common sense, and remember these. You got to learn these guys, okay? Easy peasy, man. Not a lot to it. Take your pick. So this one, kind of shaped like that. Does that look left skewed, right skewed, or fairly in the middle? Well, to me, it looks like you got about the same amount over here than you do over here. So I'm gonna call this one no skew. All right? Again, keep it simple. Don't overthink this stuff. All the data was evenly dispersed. It went like you unfolded it. All right? Skewed is super easy. You just gotta know what to look for. So I like this one. This goes back to the old box and whisker. Okay? The line in the middle, you should have been taught, was your median. So every solid line here is a median. Guess what the dotted line is? Want to take a guess at what that's representing? What do we need to talk about skewness? We need a median and we need a mean. So the green dotted line represents my mean. Okay? So I think we know what the bottom one is. The bottom one only has one line. So if you go back to that second slide, your mean and your median sit on the same line. It's going to go right there. But what's going on with these two? So if we think about a number line, this being in the middle, my mean is right there. My mean, when I read this, being to the left, we roll back to this slide right here. My mean is over here to the left of the median. Therefore, it is less than. So when I pull it back, right there. Whoops, a little bit more. Come on. There you go. My mean is less than my median. The arrow is pointing to the left. That means it's negative skewed. Going right there. Here, my mean is to the right of the median, is greater than. Therefore, it's pointing to the right, positive skew. So again, there's not a lot to this lesson. The bulk of it that I want you to know about comes from this slide here. Calculate your mean and median, determine your greater than or less than on the mean and the median, and that's it. That's the lesson. Really simple, short, to the point. Use this video to help you with your worksheet. And again, hope this helps.